All right, geometry students, it is time for us to do some lesson practice. And we're going to find that with these right triangle congruence theorems, the lesson practice is actually pretty easy. We're going to be asked to do a bunch of proofs, but you know what? What do we have to prove? We only have to prove that two things are congruent. And because we're only proving two things congruent, this is going to make this pretty simple. So let's take a look at letter A. Suppose AB is congruent to DE. There's one of our givens. And angle A is congruent to angle D. There's another one of our givens. Use the leg angle triangle congruence theorem to prove that angle ABC is congruent to a triangle, I should say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. What's the one thing we're missing? Well, first of all, we have to say that these are right triangles. And they're right triangles by the definition of, let's see, in our drawing here, if we look over here, notice that A, B, C is a right triangle and DEF is a right triangle by the drawing. So it's another given that this is a right angle. Remember, a right triangle is a triangle that has a right angle. So by the definition of right triangle, these are right triangles because they have a right angle, and that's a given from the drawing. So I'm not sure that it shows up in here. Triangle ABC and triangle DEF are right triangles. Legs AB and DE are congruent. That's given. The first one was given, kind of. Actually, what was given in the first one is that angle B and angle E are right angles. And then by the definition of right triangles, triangle ABC and triangle DEF are right triangles. That's how I would do it if I were being thorough. And then angles A and D are congruent. Now we have two right triangles with a congruent angle and a congruent let's see, a congruent leg. So yeah, by LA congruence, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. All I had to do was prove that they're right triangles, that a leg is congruent, and that an angle is congruent. Let's do letter B. Suppose that uh, AC is congruent to DF. Let's just use the same triangles here. And angle A is congruent to angle D. Use the hypotenuse angle triangle congruence theorem to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to DEF. Now, I'm not going to write this out. I'm just going to use the same thing. Triangle ABC and triangle DEF are right triangles by the definition of right triangles. And again, the correct thing to start with is angle B and angle E are right angles given because it's in the drawing. And then I would say that angles A and D are congruent, just like here. The only difference is now AC and DF are congruent. That's a different part of the triangle. It's not a leg, it's a hypotenuse. Do we have a hypotenuse angle congruence theorem? Yeah, actually, as long as any two things in the triangle are congruent other than the right angle, I could say that the triangles are congruent by some theorem. And in this case, it's the hypotenuse angle triangle congruence theorem. So what I would state at the end, it would exactly this answer, except I would replace legs A, B, and D with hypotenuse AC is congruent to hypotenuse DF given. Therefore, by the HA triangle congruence theorem, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. All right, let's continue to use it. Suppose AB is congruent to DE and BC is congruent to EF. Same thing. Okay, same thing. I would start off the same way. Angles B and angle E are right angles. Uh, Triangle ABC and triangle DEF are right triangles by the definition of right triangles. Then I would say that AB is congruent to DE given. BC is congruent to EF as a given. Therefore, by the leg triangle congruence theorem, because I know AB and DE are legs, okay, and BC and EF are legs. So by the leg triangle congruence theorem, uh, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So simple. These are super simple. All right, let's look at D. Suppose AC is congruent to DF. AC is congruent to DF and BC is congruent to EF. Do I have a hypotenuse and a leg? Yes, it's just the exact same thing. So letter E refers to this example. Rachel must design a plastic cover to fit exactly over the metal plate shown below, and the cover will contain a right angle. Rachel knows that she only needs to pick two other dimensions to make sure the cover is congruent to the plate. List all the pairs of dimensions Rachel could use, and here's a list of all of the pairs of dimensions because she only needs one other uh, she only needs two dimensions to prove that her triangle is congruent to these other triangles as long as she knows that they both have a right angle. So these are all the possibilities. Now let's take a look at this. Suppose Rachel provides PR equal 14.2 centimeters and QR equals 8.9 centimeters as dimensions for the plastic cover. In this case, which theorem proves that the cover will fit the metal plate? Well, if I know PR and QR are congruent, there's a hypotenuse and a leg. That would be the hypotenuse leg theorem. Let's just make sure. Hypotenuse leg triangle congruence theorem. All right. Hey, who do we have down here in the corner? Ooh, that's a cute triangle. Hey, that's my wife.